Good morning, this is Dr. Neil Thompson for the Cooperative Forestry Research Unit, giving you an update on the Spruce Budworm L2 situation. I am re-recording this because I have an update on our timeline. At this point, we still have no new data since the initial results. Those initial results covered 19 sites on CFRU owners that had L2 identified last year. It does not include those sites in the St. John Valley that had our highest counts. The sites in the St. John Valley were collected by the Maine Forest Service on private land. Of the 19 that were collected early on CFRU ownerships, 13 of those 19 had no L2 this year. That's very good news because we expect to see some continuation of a population at a site if it's doing well. Of the other 6 sites, we had 1 0.33, 1 0.66, 2 1.33 L2 per branch, 1 1.66, and the highest 3.66 average among the 3 branches. That is 5 trace and 1 low, according to the bins that the New Brunswick team uses. At this point, the bulk of our samples are across the border. They've been delivered to the Canadian Forest Service lab, and we've just reached our point in the queue. So their lab has completed the high priority samples for Canada and will now be processing ours. This is the update that I wanted to give in line with all the rest of this information, that they have the capacity to process between 240 and 300 branches per week, which gives us a 3 to 4 week timeline. This timeline includes the most recent coronavirus-related restrictions, which limit both the number of days the team has access to the lab and the number of people that can be in a room. We expect to have weekly updates of data, and we decided that we would post that on the website on a weekly basis, and when a company's L2s have been processed, they will be notified. Now on to the update for our neighboring situation. These maps are from our colleagues to the north at the Healthy Forest Partnership. So beginning in 2012, these points are all L2 sampling locations, with values ranging from nil to extreme, where trace is from 0.1 to 3.5 L2 per branch, and low is 3.5 to 6.5. Moving forward in time, we see the development of the outbreak on the North Shore and the movement and intensification on the South Shore. We see some substantial incursions into New Brunswick here, and these were targeted in the EIS Early Intervention Strategy Treatment Program. Moving from 2015 to 2016, we see widespread expansion on this front and down into New Brunswick here, again targeted in the EIS strategy. Moving forward into 2017, farther expansion eastward. Moving from 2017 to 2018, we see expansion on the South Shore, but retreat from most of New Brunswick. Data published in McLean et al. 2019 indicate reduction on untreated sites and a very high efficacy on treated sites. So a greater degree of reduction on those sites that were treated, which supports the hypothesis that this is an additive source of mortality in addition to natural mortality, which would have been driving the untreated sites, which were reduced at a lower rate. Moving into 2019, increased intensity on the eastern part of the Gas Bay, but we see we have a lack of data here, so this can't be considered a retreat. It is a lack of information that we have here, as well as some hotspots in New Brunswick. That brings us to 2020. Thanks to Drew Carlton for providing this information to us. We have some points here which are getting into the moderate to elevated, and looks like we might even have one severe point right there. A cluster in this northwestern corner, and a few points here adjacent to Bow Lake. This, of course, being of greatest interest to us because our highest numbers were in the St. John Valley between Fort Kent and Madawaska. Joe Byther of the Forest Service found some substantial defoliation of the current growth, the current year's needles, here in Madawaska. But the adjacent sites in New Brunswick were only at the trace level. And again, for comparison, our 19 initial sites had 5 trace and 1 just barely into the low category, and 13 nil. Looking at the progression over time in a binned format, so all the points within these grids would be assigned to these bar charts. Much higher counts in 2017, widespread reduction in 2018, some resurgence in some areas in 2019 and 2020, with most not returning to their 2017 levels, with the exception of the areas adjacent to us in northern Maine, where this year, 2020, has the highest counts yet recorded. Likewise, across the way from Madawaska down towards Grand Isle. And finally, we have a draft treatment area. This is very much a draft and subject to ongoing discussion and analysis, but covers approximately 85,000 hectares. That's 210,000 acres. That is less than 2017 and 2018, but more than 2014 through 2016, according to McLean et al. 2019. Those authors estimate an average cost of $40 per hectare, which would make the total price tag approximately $3.4 million. To recap our in-flight situation from last year, this is the source, we believe, of most of our population we're dealing with now. Process-based models from the Canadian Forest Service predict, and our own trap catches confirm, that we had substantial in-flights in 2019. But fortunately for us, we do not appear to have had the same situation reoccur in 2020. Which means that we are mostly dealing with the grandchildren, or grand larvae, of this in-flight from 2019, where last year's L2 counts were the offspring, the eggs laid, hatched, and overwintered, and this is the generation following. And at this point we decided that we would map the results weekly, post them on the website, and when results become available for a landowner, we'll let you know.